Hey, young disfellowshipped person, young outcast. Maybe you're not young, maybe you're an older sinner. So I kind of wanted to create a video for my people that are out there in limbo. You are disfellowshipped, and you want to move on. You want to move on from the organization. You want to move on from all of the shit. And so right now, you know, from what I've seen, nobody really has, I can't say nobody has, but nobody really, from what I don't think there's anybody really talks about how you can move on from the whole organization. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I've seen some clips on YouTube. You can find some good stuff on YouTube. But right now, it's like you've got a mixture of things going on. Your reality that you knew is gone. The reality that you knew of, life, things that you had hoped for are gone. But maybe they're still there. Maybe you're like, you still believe information. I think that's one of the things that happens. And I think that's why a lot of disfellowshipped people get angry, because you believe in that information, like that paradise, earth, and so forth, but you know that the only way that you can get there is through this ridiculous, not just ridiculous, but an arduous process that you don't want to go through. So you're left with, and that could inadvertently that leads to anger and pain. So how do you get past that? Well, it's going to take you some time. If you're disfellowshipped and you're like, you want to leave the organization, it's going to take you some time to get those Jehovah's Witness truths out of your mind. I'm going to just tell you that right now. That's only going to happen with you having life experience. So let me talk to you about the first stages, like your personality. Like, if you've been, especially if you were raised as a Jehovah's Witness. See, like, for me, there's two types of different disfellowshipped people. One is like, the person who's disfellowshipped and they've been out of the organization. They came to the organization for a few years and they went back out. They're okay. They're not as bad. But the people who I think who are in the worst situation are the people who grew up in an organization. Because you really are vulnerable. Now let's say you left the organization, your mother, your father, your family, your cousins. All these people, they were like a support system as long as you were going in that direction. As long as you were just going in that direction, they were going to help you do whatever you wanted to do. So, and that's one of the benefits of the organization. Your family, your friends, the extended family. But now all that's gone, and you pretty much have to do everything on your own. How are you going to do it? Well, first thing I would suggest to you is like you need to find new mentors. And they can be alive, they can be dead, they can be people in books. But you gotta start gravitating toward a different methodology, different mind frame. Different, like, it's okay to be like Jesus when you are in the organization. But, you can't be walking around with this turn the other cheek mentality when you leave the organization. You can't, to be honest with you, you really can't even do that in your whole Witness organization, but I'll talk about that in another episode. But what you have to do really is really develop a new mind frame. And I know that you can't take like that good, that kind-hearted disposition that you cultivated in an organization, you can't take that with you. You take that with you out into, quote unquote, the world, and you're gonna drown, you're gonna die. Now, what does that mean? Do you have to be a vicious, evil dick, or What does that mean? What it basically means is like, just like all those years that you spent reading about goodness and wholesomeness and stuff like that, you guys start educating yourself in different areas. You have to develop a new ideology about what it means to be a woman. You know, what it means to be a man. Cause like, you know, male and female, like, I've had experiences with women who were in that organization, and it's like, when I hear the stuff that they go through, when I hear the horror story, like they go through, you know, they'll go through some stuff where they're, cause I think it's like a different scenario for men and women, cause like, for guys, let's say the dude is like, maybe, you know, he's never been out of the organization, he leaves the organization in like late 20s, early 30s, right? There are women who are past that. Like, you know, they've done all they're messing around the street, and like, you know, they're in their late 20s, and they meet a wholesome dude, and they'll snatch that guy up. They'll snatch that that extra whole witness dude up, because he's wholesome, he's a little bit of a square, and he's different. And I can just tell you that from personal experience. Like, I would meet women would say, man, you know what, you're too good to be true. Where I would get burned is, what happens is, women will say this to you guys, but truthfully, they don't want that. They don't want no square dude unless they're a certain age. Unless they're that age where they can appreciate you. You know, so that's the most important thing. I think like the women, it's important for like the women, if you leave the Jehovah's Witness organization, you need to have a mentor. You need to have somebody. I think you need to have like a friend, somebody, if you know, a relative, someone you can talk to, who you can confide in, a friend. Because you're going to need somebody to help guide you out of that process. Whether it's like, you know, the older lady on your job who you're friends with, who's like a mother figure. Not a man, but it has to be a woman. You really need a new kind of mentality, because you need to know how to deal with guys, you know, who are not Jehovah's Witnesses organizations. Guys out here doing so much things, and you're naive. You don't know anything. You know, you left the Jehovah's Witnesses organization, and you don't have the luxury that guys can. I'm not a doctor, but you know, due to you know, from what I understand, based on research, it's much more easier for women to receive certain diseases and so forth. And also, you know, you don't want to mess around with one guy. You don't want to have this kid. You can just like, there's guys out there who play on your emotions. So you really have to develop a new mentality. So that's the first thing I would tell you. Like, and that's the one advice I would say I would give you if you are like newly disfellowshipped and you know you're not going back to Jehovah's Witness organization. You have to you have to develop a new structure or a new reality of what it means to be a man or what it means to be a woman. All of those examples in the Bible about Ruth and shit like that, you need to put that out of your motherfucking mind. Ruth, Naomi, all of those bitches. Nope. You need to erase that from your motherfucking mind. You need to be like Delilah or Jezebel, but don't die. I know that sounds fucked up, but now, I'm not trying to scare you. You know, I'm not trying to scare you or nothing. But it's doable. It's doable as long as you accept the fact that you need help. So whether it's like reading all of, I don't know, like I'm just giving an example, like whether you have to go out and read all of Oprah Winfrey's books, or, you know, whatever, or read all of, I don't know, Gwyneth Paltrow's books, read all of Angela, you know, Kim Kardashian's books. I'm just using an example. Like, these are prominent women people know. Like, you need to develop a new understanding of what it means to be a woman or a man outside that organization. You know, and it takes time. So that's the first thing I would recommend, like, for anybody who's like leaving Jehovah's Witness organization or who has left. If you're, just finished being disfellowshipped or excommunicated, whatever, get that. That's the thing you need to be worried about for the next year. Developing that new methodology, that new mentality. It doesn't mean you have to be a bad person. It just basically means that you need to work on, refine yourself, because you've been conditioned to be a failure. You've been conditioned, number one, to be dependent on other people and not be decisive. That's number one. And you need to understand that. You were conditioned to be indecisive, to be a follower, and to ultimately fail if you left that organization. You were conditioned that way, especially if you were in there from birth. So you have to recreate yourself. And it takes time. It's doable, but this is the first step.